For this research project, I focused on branding through communication and how it leads to a sense of community, with an emphasis on place branding. When it comes to online research, I focused on the difference between political branding on a municipal level versus on a federal level. However, for this video, I will be focusing only on my ethnographic research. When it comes to ethnographic research, my method of data collection was note-taking. My method of analysis was coding, and the type of political communication that I studied was mostly verbal communication. I found that all speakers use means of communication in order to establish a sense of community with members of their constituency. However, I found that some did it more than others. I found that a lot of the younger speakers put more effort into ensuring good communication with their constituents compared to ones of the older generation. Yes, a lot of the time this has to do with social media and their presence on different social media platforms, but it is also important to note that there are other forms of communication. For example, Speaker A seems to really value their community and put a lot of effort into having a good, honest, and open relationship with the members of those communities. They make weekly video blogs interacting with residents and the community about local issues either in the constituency or in the city of Ottawa. Speaker 2 carries a brand of being very light, fun, yet authentic. He or she will sometimes create videos informing people of the updates in their riding. These videos are often made on a more personal level, showing that the councillor is like any other citizen. For example, he or she bikes to work or takes public transit instead of being chauffeured. Speaker 2 also personally writes and sends out weekly email newsletters where they discuss topics on a more critical level. This also informs their constituents of where they will be for their weekly pop-ups that week. This makes it look as if they are easily approachable and want to hear what their constituents have to say. Speaker 3, on the other hand, invests a lot of time in door-to-door communication as they believe that it is the best way to connect with people in their riding. I would have to disagree with this. Speaker 3 doesn't put much of their own effort into involvement on social media as much as other speakers do. I think this reflects their effort in gaining a sense of community with their constituents, as it has been proving that social media is one of the most effective ways of reaching a big population of people. I also found that speakers tend to focus more on re-election or their self-image or brand instead of making their constituents feel like their voices matter. Speaker D puts more importance on going to social events such as ribbon cuttings and focusing on their self-image and how they look in the eye of the public instead of focusing on the community. They believe that you don't want to overexpose yourself and that media availability should be limited. It seems like they are trying to hide themselves, which doesn't look good for a citizen, as it seems like Speaker D doesn't want to be accessible and gives off the impression that they don't care. Speaker 1 believes that all politicians are brands and that you are trying to advocate and sell yourself. You don't want your name to be associated with something bad. Speaker B, on the other hand, doesn't like putting their face on things and doesn't advertise themselves. They say that they are just doing the job that's in front of them. They believe that the only time to advertise themselves is during election season, and only during election seasons are they a brand. I felt like a lot of the time the speakers were not very honest and did not actually seem in tune with their community. I personally like Speaker B the most because he or she seemed to be the most realistic, spoke the truth, and focuses more on their constituents instead of their brand or getting re-elected. They don't participate in ribbon cutting or photo takings and say no one elected me to be a face on things. They say I would rather be honest with you than to win your vote. If being honest gets me defeated, then I am fine with that. Speaker 2 also seems to take the sense of community very seriously, making themselves very accessible and approachable. They believe that their main job is to help you navigate and advocate for you. If Speaker 2 doesn't know how they will vote on a decision, he or she will go and reach out to people in order to find out the way to vote. Whereas I felt Speaker D showed very little interest in actually interacting with their community. They said they would never go into federal politics and liked municipal politics more because things actually get done at this level. However, they failed to mention the sense of community and relationship that tends to be built in municipal politics. I find this study important as one of the main jobs of both city councillors, MPs, and mayors are to properly and effectively communicate and advocate for their citizens. This project gives us insight on how they do just that, while also showing us a small window of Ottawa municipal politics.